Okay, we are live. So today we will talk about the certification program by the IIM Lucknow on the analytics for finance and accounting professionals. So IIM Lucknow, as you know, is a very famous and top class business schools in India, and it provides online programs, many online programs, and one of them being the certification or executive education on analytics for finance and accounting professionals. So from the name itself, it sounds like it's meant for people with MBA in finance or chartered accountants or people with degrees in commerce, economics, but also those who are working in finance and accounting, not necessarily from a finance background, but let's say you have a background in science or engineering, but you're working in finance, you're also a target audience for this course. So what we'll do is that we will talk about whether it suits you. Okay, we'll talk about the different aspects of this program, like what are the things that we're going to learn, whether it carries the brand value that it promises, and whether the course fee is justified, all of these things. Okay, all right. As you can see here, it's the logo is IIM Lucknow as well as Willy. Right, Willy is a very famous publisher. It has been in the publishing industry for decades, and hundreds of Nobel laureates have published with Willy. So it has got some brand value, and so is IIM. Right, IIM is the premier business school in India, and IIM Lucknow, I think, is within the top 5 business schools in India, or probably top 10. So it has got some brand value, that's for sure. So but there are other things, important things, right? Because it's not just the brand value that matters. Of course that's important, but other things are equally important. Okay, so it starts, so this is, I'm just going through the brochure actually. It starts with why you should be pursuing the certifications. It starts with a bit of a marketing, right? They're marketing their certifications. Yeah, it's the same story everywhere, right? Data is important, able to learn data skills. So, and digitalization happening in finance and banking, and it's also talking about the fintech and how analytics will be very important when banks will become fintech in the next decade or so. Okay, so that's pretty generic things, right? You can get this information from everywhere, right? All the courses you do these days, you have this information, yeah, readily available. But there are some specifics to this certification that we are more interested in. Okay, so what it says that it's a collaboration between IIM Lucknow and Willy. So that's one good thing. That means you will have faculties from IIM Lucknow, and you'll also have faculties from Willy. So Willy has a lot of publishers. Most of them are from industry, especially for the upskilling part of the Willy. Most people are from industry, less are from academia. And anyway, you have people from academia who are working in IIM Lucknow. So you get a mix of both. So which is good thing actually, right? When you have industry academia collaboration, you get the best of both worlds. And especially in finance and accounting, that's very important, because finance is a very applied subject. You can't learn everything in a university, but at the same time in finance we refer to a lot of academic things, academic research, so on. So it's extremely important therefore to have a good collaboration, and that's what you see in this particular program. So it's extremely good. It's a 6-month immersive program. That means it's not a PG diploma kind of a thing, but it's not your very short MOOC program where you can finish it in a month time. I mean, you have to put in quite some effort to be able to finish this program, right? 6 months is not a short program, right, by any means. And it's fully online, right? So you can do it from anywhere on the planet. Well, nowadays even the full-time programs are being run online because of the pandemic, but otherwise also you could have attended from anywhere on the planet. So if you're living in US, you are in UK, Europe, anywhere in the world, you can still enroll and get certified through this program. Okay, and they also have a master class, as in they invite people from industry, leaders from industry to talk to you. That's another good thing, actually. We'll get an opportunity to network, to get to know some industry related things, so which is also good. So they're going to focus on there's 4 different things: analytics, which is basically more into the statistics side of it, statistics, machine learning, predictive modeling, those things. And then you have technology stack as well, right? Analytics cannot be done without technology these days. So they have Python, Tableau, I'm sure other open source like R and so on. But I think Python and Tableau is something that they have mentioned here, which is what everybody is teaching nowadays. But one good thing is that they also give you Tableau. I'm not sure if they give a license of that, because Tableau is not free. So yeah, if that is what they're giving us, which is good. They will also teach you some business aspect of it, right? How you can relate return on investment with respect to the academic things that you learn, which is also good, right? And then also they will teach you how to be analytically oriented in terms of the thinking, in terms of solving problems and so on, right? That's also another good thing, actually, in my view, right? This is something very missing, actually. If you are doing a full-time degree in analytics, a professor will not teach you these things. It's because a lot of these industry professionals are going to also be part of this. You therefore get to learn these things, but it doesn't always happen if it is just the working in people working in university teaching you. Yeah, so they have 4 days of immersive learning in IIM campus. I don't think that's happening right now because of the pandemic, but I think, yeah, in the normal situation, this is what is happening, right? You spend some time in IIM Lucknow campus. That doesn't happen though now. And then you have live classes with top IIM and Willy faculties. And then you have 10 master classes. They are basically where they invite people from industry to talk to students. Then you have hands-on laboratories work. I think they have their own cloud-based labs. That's what they mean. They'll give you the access so you can work from home, work on different projects. And they have also yeah, library, right? Willy's has a lot of e-library, e-books, and a lot of learning material you can find on Willy. So that access they're also giving, which is also a good thing, right? Because it costs you some money if you really want to get access to Willy's libraries for ebooks and or the learning materials. So if you get that free, I think that's also one good aspect of it. I don't know how long that is valid, but they have lots of books, good books. And then you get certificates from IIM Lucknow. I'm not sure if they give you alumni status. I think they give you some kind of alumni status, like as an MDP. Okay, so that stands for Management Development Program. Well, a regular management development program costs you a lot of money. If they give you the status of that, then I think it's worth pursuing. I do not yet know what's the cost of this program, but we'll obviously discuss that. Alright, so these are simply repetition of what we just discussed. That means you will have both online as well as offline classes, but okay, forgot about offline classes for now. Everyone is providing online classes, so IIM is no different, I'm sure. Value add of the program, yeah, that's repeating the same things actually. So yeah, I think we have covered this part. I'm more interested to know the curriculum, actually, to what depth they're teaching financial analytics. I think the starting with the basics, right, like introducing to financial analytics, a bit of statistics for business, and how analytics can be used in finance and operations. Applications of analytics in financial services are data visualization is also what they're teaching. And then the impact of technology in future finance and operation. Then they have capstone projects, right? The simple capstone projects, how to report data, how to forecast data, how to find anomalies in data. Okay, this is important. Let me go through this bit more, and I'll tell you why this matters to a lot of the finance and operation people. From my own experience, also I can tell you that it's quite very important these days that accounting people are also well aware of these analytics techniques. Not so much in the modeling aspect, but to ensure that the finance data they deal with is of good quality, and that's what the reporting comes into picture, right? So knowing what is an outlier and how to detect an outlier or an anomaly is very crucial for these days, for all professionals, but particularly people working in finance. Forecasting technique, this is extremely important these days. It's happening, right? As you know, in provision calculations, so people working in finance and operation, they would know this, that for provision calculation they use models these days instead of simple formula that used to be used a couple of years back. I'm not sure people working in the accounting side are involved there. To some extent, yes, but I think with that kind of knowledge they can be more involved in the modeling. I think from a job prospect point of view, I think it is extremely important that if you have understanding of models as an accountant, I think you have an advantage over your peers. Then optimization techniques, yeah, it's part of your forecasting. Then other predictive technique, financial forecasting, yes, that's also important, right? Whether it's revenue forecasting, loss forecasting, this kind of things. Budgeting and cost analysis, I think you learn as part of your accounting things, but I think it's more formula related, more deterministic approach, but yeah, it can also be taught in bit more statistical, yeah, including the uncertainty. I mean, the thing with statistical approach, in contrast to your Excel set approach or the so-called mathematical approach, is that not mathematical, but in the formula-based approach where you just simply use a plug and play formula, is that you take into account the uncertainties around it, something that you cannot do simply using a formula, because each formula has an input and then it gives an output, right? It's always the case. But with statistics, you take into account the uncertainties, right? That's something so important these days. Payment and lending, extremely important in the fintech area, right? In India, you have Paytm and other platforms doing so well in the consumer banking space, right? They're taking over that space from the traditional banking clients, right? And it's happening all over the world, right? It's happening all over the world. So it's also an upcoming emerging technology area. I think it's very important. Fraud is an age-old problem in banking and finance, particularly in finance, is so important. So I'm also happy with the fact that they include this. What I find lacking here is that they do not have any case study on risk. In banking, risk and finance, there are two different departments in most banks. But for finance professional, it's important to understand a bit of about risk also. And in risk management, people have been using analytics for many years now. So there are lots of case studies out there. So I was under the impression that they would teach, or they would have some of at least one or two case studies on risk related analytics, but unfortunately they do not have. Well, they have something called risk assessment, but I'm not sure if that is something to do with risk management or not. It could be a very more generic risk assessment, and how I don't know. So that's something I think it's lacking. I think there are a few other things also lacking. I'm not sure what they teach in statistics for business. Is it just the basics, or do they teach something more? All right. And then what is also missing here is that they say, okay, we're going to teach R, but what about Python? What about MATLAB or other tools? I think it's also important to learn at least 2 to 3 tools. What about SQL, right? Understanding SQL is also important. I mean, you can learn SQL on your own, but if somebody, a professional, would teach you SQL, I think it's always better, right? That part is also missing. So people coming from experienced background, I'm sure for them it is not a challenge at all. But people fresh out of university, or just those who are 1 or 2 years experienced, with no experience with respect to any technical side of it, I think the course curriculum lacks a bit. Uh, but within 6 months, I think it's fine. But if I think they're doing the case studies quite rigorously, I think it should be fine, because the case studies are quite impressive, right? If they're going to spend at least 3 months in doing these case studies, then I think that will be very, very great. So that is something important, because as a theory is less important, you can learn on your own. So case studies are so important these days. So that's one good thing. Some key information: it spans for 6 months. Total course time is about 130 hours of teaching. I think 117, right? And 18 hour in campus. I do not know what they're going to do with this campus hours. Will they add to it, or should they charge you less money, right? That's what many companies many universities are doing these days. If they cannot provide you campus experience, they are reducing the course fee. I'm not sure they're doing, IIM is doing or not. You need to devote at least 4 to 5 hours a week for the classes. I'm sure you'll have to spend more time to do the assignments and to do self-study. Project work, 10 hours. I do not understand what project work means. I hope this is about the case studies, and probably they will give you a project to work on after they teach you the case studies. I think 10 hours will be a bit less. I was hoping that they will do at least 20 to 30 hours on that, but that's not very impressive. And then they will have 5 sessions with experts, which is good. And they have some profiles of people who will be teaching you. I think these are people working as full-time professors in IIM in different areas. So these are the same people who are teaching the full-time students. So for a full-time program, you have 2 years. You put in 2 years or 20 months in practice, in principle actually, and you spend about 20 lakhs plus money to learn from these people and get certification. The only difference is that you get placement by being a full-time student there. But for part-time student, I don't think they provide any placements. But you already have a job, I don't think you should be worrying much about that. Yeah. So good profile of the professors. I think you can expect that from people working at IIMs. Very important thing about the fee, and I still do not see where the course fee is mentioned. Yes, it's at the end. Okay, so the course fee including everything is 1,65,000. So yeah, if I convert that into dollar, that comes about, yeah, roughly 23,000 US dollar. Sorry, not 23,000, sorry, it's about 2,300 US dollar, 2,300 US dollar. Yes, and I think they also have some extra fee with this. Yeah, if you want to be an alumni, you have to pay some 12,000 extra. It's fine, right? You will also have some benefits from that, so that makes sense to be an alumni. So it's not a big amount of money actually, especially if you're getting an in-person training. That's not a big amount of money in my view. But I also feel that if you're really serious about making a career in finance and financial analytics, I think you can also do, if you are already, you have the ability to do self-study. Not all can do self-study, right? You want a formal program to be able to study on your own. If you are good at self-study, it's good to go for FRM program or a PRM program, right? There you learn lots of analytical techniques as well as finance and risk. or CQF is one good program, but CQF is very expensive in India. I think for Indians they charge some $7,000 to $8,000 US dollar, but it's worth pursuing. There's a lot of recognition to that, but it's also a bit tough, I would say. This is not that tough, I would say. So if you are a working professional and you have some money, you have money to spend, I think it's not a bad option at all, right? Because not everybody can self-study and write certification. So that is another option, no doubt, and it might be a better option, but not everyone can do that. But this is also good, right? You will have a network as well, because with certification you don't actually meet anyone, you do on your own everything. It's not always efficient, but this way you will at least get to meet a lot of people from many different companies, and you will have a good network. You will have a certificate from very good top class university, and you will be directly trained by top class faculty. So not a bad option. My rating, I would say, of 10, I would give it a rating of 7.5. I would say I wasn't very impressed with the curriculum actually, right? Other things, fee and brand values, all these things are fine, but I felt like they should have taught something related to risk. They should have included something from risk side also a bit more on the statistical modeling side. I guess it's so important these days, but yeah, you can also learn, you can supplement this learning with some more certifications or self-learning. Yeah, so yeah, so please let me know in the comment section what else do you really want me to review, or how did you find this review. And yeah, if you have a question also, you can ask me. You can find our email ID in the description section. Yeah, we also provide some training on risk analytics, so you can also contact us in credit risk modeling, market risk modeling. So if you're keen on doing starting a career in risk modeling as such, right? Because this is not targeted for risk modeling, by the way, right? This is just for a more generic profile where you have a bit of knowledge of everything, right? But if you want to be a specialist in credit risk modeling or market risk modeling, do contact us, because we also provide training at a much less fee. All right, so let us know if you have questions. Thank you for tuning in.